So in this video, we'll show you how to mark regions of interest in your image recordings. You can see in this table here in the data manager that you already have a ROI table, which means that they are already marked up for several of these recordings, but two of them are missing because the quality is tagged as bad, so we will not mark those. When you mark regions of interest, it's sometimes good to have an average projection of the entire recording and maximum projection or a standard deviation projection as well of this entire recording. So what we would do is that we would select all the recordings we wanted to mark up. We would go into the RoIs menu and choose Generate Reference Images, or use one of the shortcuts over here. As you see here, there is a B next to the Generate Reference Images, and as we talked about before, that means that this will be, when we click it, a batch operation. When you have a batch operation, you can set it to run in the background while you do other things, or not necessarily in the background. MATLAB will lock when you're doing this, so you'll need to open another instance if you want to continue working in MATLAB. As you can see here, we now queued up several of these, but it takes a little while. It takes a couple of minutes on this particular computer and this particular data to generate these images. So we're just going to leave this here for now and just edit the RoIs without the reference images for these other recordings. So if we now go into our first recording here, it's very simple to start editing the RoIs. You just choose Mark RoIs, or again, go to the RoI menu and choose Mark RoIs. Once you marked RoIs, you choose Process RoIs, and then they will extract signal from those RoIs that you marked. So we're going to go into RoIs and mark RoIs. This will open the RoI Manager, which is the second program bundle with Begonia. It's a big program, lots of features, but most of these windows that pop in and out will be contextual, so they will open up at a time where they are relevant to what you're seeing on the screen. For now, I'm going to put the data manager away, and the same with the action queue from the data manager, and we'll just look at some of the main windows of this program. So when you are editing RoIs, when you open a set of data, the RoI manager gets an instruction about what you want to do and what tools you want to work with. So right now we said that we wanted to edit RoIs, and that's why this RoI editor here is open. This is the data. You can play back your data by choosing play here, and the data starts going. A little bit depending on your disk, you might get a different frame rate. You can set the, it's initially set to go at the same frame rate as the recording was happening on, but you can switch the frame rate the manual by clicking these buttons to change the speed at which it plays back. The data is lazily loaded, so you should be able to run arbitrarily large series here. You can also scrub directly here in the data, and you can now clearly see calcium activity occurring in this data. The channel settings allows you to alter what you're actually seeing in this window. So we can choose, for instance, the raw image, which in this case is very noisy. If we play it back, you'll see that this is a very, very noisy signal. And then you probably want to use a mean projection. So that's what you're doing here. And you can also change how many frames the mean projection should be over. If it's 10 here, you see the visual quality goes a bit down, it goes up, and we put it to 30. You can also choose a standard deviation projection if you want in the same way, or the maximum projection for this time window. So we're going to stick with mean. If there's more than one channel as it is here, then you can choose another channel to mark RoIs in here, but we'll stick with this channel for now. So you can also, if you have done the reference image generation, you can choose to see the mean image for the entire channel, the standard deviation image, or the maximum projection image for the entire channel here. You can also change the range down here or the color map. So if you want to have a different look, then you can make your choices here. So this channel window, if it goes away, if you close it, you click channel down here to reopen it. The guide window provides some contextual information about what you're doing. It doesn't always do that, but often it does. If you put this back to the mean projection, you can see it says scroll wheel to move time. So if I scroll the wheel, yeah, I can scrub back and forth. Control M, there's some bug here, and then click RoIs to select. So actually what we want to do is we want to edit these RoIs. And there are two ways you can do that. We can have a look at the visual way first. You can resize this window if you want by rescaling it down here. And you can also, if you want to zoom in on a particular area, you can use these Set X, C, and V buttons on the keyboard to zoom in and out on particular regions. So this there is a shortcut instruction in the documentation that you can use as a reference for what these buttons do. But if you push the X button, you will zoom in. The Z button, you will zoom out. The C button will center on the cursor, and the V button will reset the view. This is the ROI list that is, these are the ROIs that are already selected. You can see there's quite a lot of them. Some of them are circular ROIs around the cell. Some of them are somata ROIs in the cell nuclei. And some of them are delineating end feet or areas around blood vessels. If you want to select a ROI, you can choose ROI select here, and then you can drag an area that you want to select. So let's say we want to get rid of these up here. I can select them. I can then choose remove. I can, if I want to remove those ROIs. Oh, sorry, that was the wrong one. Delete to delete those ROIs, and they go away. So if I want to remark an area here for the sake of this example, I will choose this, and then I'll choose delete. You can toggle labels for the ROIs on and off, and also you can, if you want to, you can create what you call related ROIs, where you set parent-child relation between the ROIs. I'm not sure that actually exists within this view, so I'm going to leave that off for now. So we've shown that you can select ROIs, and when you've done something like we did now, we deleted some ROIs, you can push save to save those changes, and that is also important, of course. So let's say that you have this cell up here and you want to mark ROIs on that cell. So some of the ideals behind this editor is that you can run it primarily from your keyboard, so you don't have to click between the windows. There's also a bug in MATLAB, we believe, in Mac OS, where you have to command click a window to trigger a button when the window is not in the front. And this might be something to be considered about for Mac users. Okay, so let's zoom into this cell over here. We can change the projection to the mean projection so we can see the cell a little bit clearer. Maybe that was a bit close. We can zoom back out again. So let's say that we now want to, we can actually, let's say that we want to mark this cell. We want to draw the somata here, and then we want to draw around these processes. So I'm going to choose paint. And as you can see up here, it now says ROI paint, and it gives you some area here. Additional information is outputted next there. But now the application is in the ROI paint mode. You now have a circle that shows the size of the brush that you're going to be painting with. If we continue zooming in, let's see. You see the brush is quite large now compared to the somata. So I'm going to scroll to change the size of the brush to be smaller, and then I'm going to change the type that I want to edit. In this case, it's somata. Actually, it was the correct one. So now I'm going to mark the area, and the marking is a bit light against its color map. I'm going to change it to another one. Now I've marked a certain area, and then I'm going to push space to finalize this ROI. And now I have a new ROI at the bottom of this list, which is the astrocyte somata. Next, I would like to draw specific fine processes around these processes. So what I'll do then is that I'm going to go to astrocyte process. I'm going to make the brush very small, and then I'm going to draw one of them. This one was a bit thick, but it serves as an example. So now we marked 2 ROIs, but this is not the most effective way that you can edit ROIs in this program. So let's get rid of these. I'm going to select, and I'm going to delete them again. Now just push delete to get rid of them. The program is based around the principle that you can go into mode select by pushing the dot key or the punctum key, the punctuation key. So once you have done that, you can then use shortcuts to go into new modes. So if you want to go into ROI paint, you push R and P and keep an eye up here what happens, and push enter. And now we are in ROI paint mode. If you now look in the guide over here, you can see that it says 1 to 9, set type, 0 list types, toggle subtract brush, change channel, and so on. And the idea here is that you should be able to do this these changes very rapidly without ever taking your hands off the keyboard. If I choose 1 now, it says astrocyte somata, 2 astrocyte process, I push 3, it says gliopele, I push 4, it says astrocyte end feet, I push 0, and it lists the ROIs and the numbers. So I want to do 1 for astrocyte somata. I'm going to just draw it, and then I'm going to push space to finalize it. Then I'm going to push 2. I'm going to write the processes. So then I'm going to draw those. I'm going to make the brush a little bit smaller. And now I'm going to do another neat trick. So I'm going to mark all of them at once, like that. So it's important to notice that if I now select this ROI, you'll see that it is a single ROI. But because it consists of multiple separate parts, I can do split up here. And the ROI now becomes several different parts. So now I have, if I do push the V key to come back out, I have I have marked this ROI here. You can do the same if you wanted to mark this area between the processes. So I'm gonna, once more, I'm gonna do dot to go into mode select. I'm gonna write RT for ROI paint. Then I'm gonna push 3 for glio peel. I'm gonna change the size of the brush to be bigger. And I'm going to choose this area, several of these areas in between the processes here. This one I'm not so sure about, but yeah, we can leave one there too. Then I push space and I've selected multiple ROIs, and then I choose select. I click the ROI and I choose split, and I've created several ROIs in one go. So the idea is you can quite effectively work in this application by using the keyboard if you learn these simple shortcuts and rely a little bit on the guide over here. And then once you're done, you choose save to save. And yeah, basically we've now marked several ROIs and they do appear in this list. So with just a few operations on the keyboard, you can mark multiple ROIs at a time. Okay, so I think that covers about the basics of how you mark ROIs. And then next we'll go out and we'll process these ROIs to get some data out of them.